Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Ashley. I'm glad you can stop here today. So I am talking about eyeshadow palettes. So if you have been looking at my channel lately, you have known there have been a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I have demoed and given first impressions to. And then if you've been following what's going on in the makeup community, there's been several palettes too. But I just want to come back and give you my full thoughts on all the palettes, okay? So I have several palettes here to talk about. I'm actually wearing the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette on my eyes at the moment. I'm not going to talk about that palette in this video because I have a dedicated video that's going up about this palette, and it actually will be up before you see this one, so go check that video out, okay, where I do 2 looks and then wrap up with my final thoughts on the video. And there is also another first impression video on that channel. So I have all these palettes to kind of talk about, and so let's jump right in. I have one palette that is not with us, and that is the palette that did not make the cut. So let's talk about that palette first so we can hit everything else on a very high note. The palette that did not make the cut for me, and by this time when you see this video, that video is already up, and it is the Huda Beauty Neon Green palette. Now when that palette came out, I was very excited. I was like, yes, this is beautiful. I talked about it in a video where I did a will I buy it, and it's a 9-pan palette. I'm just gonna like stick a picture here since I don't have the palette anymore and I returned it. So initially when I got the palette from Sephora, this is no fault of the brand, you see like the sun like setting, like bouncing off my face. I'm sorry if it's distracting you. But initially when I got that palette, one of the shades was broken. And so I contacted Sephora and I was like, you know, the way you guys package this pack, it just wasn't going to hold up. And the shadow broke. So they sent me out a new one free of charge. And that's fine. But the consistency of that formula, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to work this hard for it, okay? I'm not going to use it because even though I know how to work with those particular shadows, I'm not going to do it. And when I'm talking about, I'm really talking about more so the formula of the sparkle / metallics or shimmer shades or whatever you want to call them, because the mattes in that palette, the dark green neon matte, that matte is actually pretty okay, okay? But the lighter neon matte is, I wasn't such a fan of the peachy pink neon matte on my skin complexion. There's only 3 mattes in that palette. Now, it's a 9-pan palette. So all the other 6 shades are like a sticky formulation. So if you have any experience maybe with the Huda Beauty Rose Gold textured eyeshadow palette, and remember that was the first edition that came out before she reformulated that, it kind of reminded me of that. And I'm not sure why she reverts to that particular formula for those 9-pan palettes, depending on the palette, because it's not always like that. Every Obsession palette, even when they come out, they have different finishes for the shimmers, and I can't understand why. Like, that was a formula that she got the most complaints about that made her remaster the Rose Gold palette, which I was pissed about, and had a creamy shimmer formula. So why wouldn't you put that in the mini Obsessions palettes? And then you had in the new nude palette, you had that creamy pressed pearlized metallics that when you press them, they rub on smoothly. You get high pigmentation. Why wouldn't you put that in that? So the shimmers were very sticky. It had a lot of fallout. I had to use a glitter glue with it. It was not going to work. You either had to use a flat, when I say flat, I mean like a very flat eyeshadow brush, like something like of this nature, in order for it to pick up, because if God forbid if you just went in with an eyeshadow brush like this, it wasn't going to work. Like, I don't even think it would have really worked it for your finger. I did get some success when I used it with my Sephora glitter liner, which is right here, which is a silicone applicator. But like I said, I still had to use glitter glue to make it stick. I had to spray it. I mean, like, it would not stick at all if I did not use glitter glue. So I just feel like for $27, I could return it. I could put it towards something else I would use. And then the shimmers, they were very pretty. Don't get me wrong. They were so pretty. I really liked how my eyelids turned out. But if we were talking about the crease, I was like, I don't like it. But I was just like, for these type of duochromes, I probably have something in my Pat McGrath palettes that perform way better, and I don't have to go through all the drama of trying to use this eyeshadow palette. So that's why I returned it. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad palette, but I don't think it's a great palette either. So I would just be careful about that if you wanted to spend the $27 for it, because for 9 pans, that is a little pricey, okay? So the next brand I want to talk about is a brand new brand to the makeup community, and they kind of took the makeup community by storm. They came out with a full launch. They came out with eyeshadow palettes and lipsticks and concealers and foundations, and they launched their Ulta Beauty, and the brand I'm talking about is Uoma Beauty. And so I have this palette right here. Now they came out with 3 palettes. So they came out with the Allure and the Poise palette and I think the Savage, I believe. And they're all fall underneath the series of Black Magic. So I did do an initial video of this palette. I did order the other 2 palettes, but I decided not to keep them, and I did return them to Ulta. I did not use them, so I don't know how those 2 other palettes perform. So, but I decided to keep this one because to me this color scheme was just so unique and it was so pretty. And I do have a couple things in my collection that look like this, but you know, this palette, when I talk about like the Huda Beauty palette where the shimmers were like hard to use, these shimmers are very glittery, but I didn't have to put in a whole lot of work to make it work. You know what I mean? So this is what the palette looks like. And like I said, this one is the Allure palette. I love the packaging. The packaging is beautiful. I had great wear time with it. I do say that the mattes could use some improvement, okay? They're a little thin and it does take a time for it to build up, okay? I've had a chance to play with all the shades. The shade that I'm like about is Lady of Gold, but I do believe that Allure and Enchantress and Mystical are so pretty. This yellow, this Ocean yellow, it was just, it needs help, okay? But Romantic and Love and Lush and Opulence, they did work for me, okay? So you have to build them up. You have to be a little patient. So this palette, like I said, compared to the Huda Beauty palette, like that just took a whole lot of work. This one takes a little work, but it doesn't take much. Like I didn't have to use a glitter glue. You can, because these shimmer shades right here are highly, like a lot of glitter, okay? Let's see, like you have Mystical right here and Allure, but they give off such a beautiful duochrome. And it's just like, oh my goodness. So that is the shade Mystical. So you see, like they kind of, it's glittery, but you get a lot of pigmentation with the glitter. And it doesn't fall all over the place. But you do have to put in just a little bit of effort. And for these, I don't mind the effort that comes along with these shadows. I'm excited to see what they come out with next because the color schemes were fire. I mean, like this is a beautiful color scheme and nothing like I just have laying around my collection. Like I have some of these things, but you know, it was just different. And I just thought it was super beautiful. The packaging is great. I love how they give you, the definition of the actual palette, like so it says Allure, and you have the power of attraction of glam. Then it's a positive message right here in the mirror. It says eyes of a goddess. Yes, please, you're looking at them. So I really do enjoy this palette, and this is something I definitely keep using. And I just thought it was so beautiful. The artwork is beautiful, so I really have been enjoying this palette. So like I said, it's $45. Most of the prices I'm just going to put up there. But for the price point, it's but if you have Ulta points, you know, this is a brand, it's not coming out as a Allure in brand. They're coming out probably like on a Too Faced level. If I have to compare like what their price points, because their foundation was a little pricey. Some of their lipsticks were like $24. So they're around the price of Too Faced. So, you know, you have to take it or leave it. But it's Ulta. You can use your coupons. You can use your points. So I would give it a try. But like I said, I think for most of this palette, it's really all about these glittery shimmers. And if you want something that's a little different and unique as far as shimmer shades, I think that this gives you a great surprise. I didn't have any problems in terms of longevity, and it stayed on my eyes perfectly throughout the day. I did not have any fallout when I wore the palette, which was wonderful because, like I said, these shades are a little glittery. So this is the Uoma Beauty Allure palette, okay? Okay, so the next set of palettes, I'm just gonna go down the line, all by the same brand. Can you guess? Colourpop, duh. I mean, Colourpop, you know, they come out with something every 2 minutes. And it's like, you get one palette, it finally arrives to your house, and you're like, y'all just launched another palette today, but I just got the palette I ordered last week. Okay, but I'm still gonna order it, you know? So I'm gonna take these in no particular order. I love all of these palettes. One is a little bit older, but I just received it not too long ago, so we'll talk about it, okay? So this is the Proceed with Caution palette. This is a 9-pan palette that they did in collaboration with Makeup Shayla. This is her second palette. So I was super excited to see that because I have her first palette, and I love that palette, okay? So true to fashion, you have the 9-pan palette set up. You got these little square palettes. I like these little mini palettes. I think I would just like them better in cardboard, but these are growing on me. So the packaging, So you got a real cute theme. You got the black and yellow. And this is what the palette looks like. You got a nice big mirror, of course, and the shade names on the back. So, this palette, it's a neutral palette. I'm sure we all have it, but it's $12. So it's like, I get it, you know? So one of the shades, the standout shade, of course, is Caution. And then you do have the shade Culture. Culture is actually a repeat from her first palette, the Perception palette. And she talked about it. She was just like, you know, that is my perfect shadow. Like, I ran out of that shadow first. So she was just like, why create the wheel? Okay, cool. Why recreate it? So my favorite shadows in here, you guys know I love a good coppery red shadow. So I love this shade Drill. I also love this shade Hazard right here. And I love this shade Warning. And Warning is more of a new formula. I'm going to swatch them down here because I have some of that other palette right here. So this is Warning. It's so bright. And it just gives you like construction zone vibes, orange pop of color. And then this shade right here is called Hazard. And you can do a beautiful, nice, smoky eye with this shade without going too dark. You can kind of do it daytime-ish or transition it into night. It's a beautiful brown mauve tone shade. And it has some gray tones in it with some sprinkles of gold in it. And then the next shade right here is Drill, which I said, which I love. These are like my coppery shades that I just love so much. So that is Drill. So the thing about these are so smooth. Like, the formula is impeccable. Colourpop is getting it right. I'm not sure how they're bringing the formula to us for $12, but they are getting it. Now, Dead End is a little bit sheer, and it's more of a crystalline finish, but I do like that. This one, definitely, if you want to build it up, you are going to have to wet it. Overall, I think this is a palette that you can definitely just take with you. You can definitely do this every day. You can wear it to work. You can go out with it. It's just a good neutral palette. But I really do like that it looks good on women of color. I think it's going to look great on basically any skin complexion. But if you're like my color, a little bit lighter or deeper, this palette is definitely going to look good on you. Because sometimes neutrals, and depending on like my skin complexion is so golden, like certain basic muted down neutrals, they look blah on me. So I need something with that extra oomph, that warm, that fiery tones, just to make it pop, to look at like, okay, you got on some type of makeup, okay? So she does have this creamy black, and this is a matte, and it's called Gloves On. So I'm not sure why we're still doing the mattes with the glitter in it, but this is Gloves On, and it shows up very pretty. But I haven't really had a chance to test out that shade in full. When I do put it on my outer corner, it does not, like, the glitter doesn't move all around the look, so that is good, unlike some of the other shades that have glitter in it. But I think that this black is pretty. It's very smooth for a black, and it's not patchy. So overall, I think this is a fabulous palette, and I think you should pick it up. So the next palette we're talking about is the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. So this palette actually came out, I want to say, at the very top of spring, more like February, March. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to get it. No. And then I kept seeing all the reviews, and I was like, it's so cute. And then I was like, I'm just going to order it later because, you know, Colourpop will be out with something next week, and then they'll probably just run a sale. So maybe I can get like 10% off. And then it came back in stock, and I was like, oh, the Makeup Shayla collection will be out on Friday, so I could just place this order with the Makeup Shayla one. But this was sold out. And then I finally got it. So I didn't even get this palette until like May. But it's definitely on trend with what's going on right now. We got the peaches and the corals. So I feel like it's nothing new. It's highly reflective because the packaging is so cute. But I feel like it's nothing really new underneath the sun, but the colors just go so well with my skin complexion. And that's why I just really like this palette. But not only because of the colors. I know some people have feelings about pressed glitters in shadow in palettes, but I'm like, sometimes it's okay. You know, it just brings a little dimension. Like, I'd rather sometimes have a pressed glitter in one of my shadow palettes than buying pressed glitters. Because Lord knows I'm not going to use like a whole pressed glitter in this game. You know, like I still have Stilas that I love, but I don't use them all the time. You know what I mean? Like the Stila Glitter and Glow. So like if you get 1 or 2 pressed glitters in the palette, I'm okay with that. So the shadow, I really love this shade Early Morning, and I did do a look with this palette for you guys on my channel. This glitter is so pretty. I mean, it just looks like a burst of sunshine. And then you have the gorgeous mattes. You have ICYMI, in case you missed it. And then you have Melody, which is actually more of a satin finish. You have West Side, and then Feel Free. So I love that you have like this deepish aubergine color to burgundy to kind of deepen your crease. You have another pressed glitter, and this actual shadow palette actually has a Super Shock shadow in there. So I think that's cool too, just to give us like different options, because Colourpop is definitely coming out with palettes all the time. The Super Shock shadows are definitely pretty, but I mean, do we reach into them? No. So if we have it to get it right here in the shadow palette, like chances are we're going to use it more than often, because listen, Super Shock shadows are gorgeous, okay? Then, of course, we have their standout, very satin, very thick foiled metallics. You have one of those. But you do get more matte ratios in this palette. So I definitely like that you have a lot of mattes. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7 mattes out of this 12-pan palette. So you can't beat that. I'm just going to try to move it closer. The packaging, like I said, is reflective, but you definitely get a lot of options to set your look up with the mattes. So that I can definitely appreciate it, and that is that foil shade that is called Garden Date. It is very pretty. So I appreciate it. And you know, the butteriness and the creaminess of the mattes are great. This is definitely an all skin tone appropriate palette. Peaches, corals. Coral is a Pantone color of the year. So I just really think that they knocked it out of the park, and like every shade in here I could see myself using. The only shade I might be like about is Catch Me, but all the shades perform so nicely in this palette, so I have been really enjoying this. Okay, I just pulled this palette out of my drawer because I was like, I'm missing something. And this is the Blue Moon palette. This is another one of their 9-pan palettes, but you know they have been doing the monochromatic palettes of 9-pan palettes as of lately. And this is what it looks like. I do have a video of using 2 looks with this palette. Extra gorgeous. This is just a straight up blue palette. So I think it's so nice to just have a blue palette that actually kind of has more cool tone blues than warm tone blues. Not to mention, none of these are like greeny blues, because you know, a lot of times in your palettes you'll have like these blues, and it's like, well, it's not really blue, it's blue and green, but this is straight up blue. All of these shadows perform so well. They're pigmented. So you're going to have to go in with a light brush. What I suggest you do is kind of start with a crease color up here towards your brow bone. That is your complexion, something that you like to use. I use the shade Culture out of that Makeup Shayla palette that I just showed you guys. And I was able to blend in all the shadows very well. Because let's be honest, you're not going to start with blue up here. Don't tell me you're going to put blue up here. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do that. So get you whatever crease color that you like. That it doesn't have to be Culture, but Culture just fits my skin really well. and just put it up there because you're going to need a little something to blend into. You have Clued In. Clued In is a beautiful navy blue. It is so hard to find a navy blue when we're talking about these palettes. It just doesn't work out. The navy blue that has a lot of pigment is going to blend out. We'll move around. You could do a nice blue smoky eye with this. I think this palette is fabulous as an accent palette because sometimes you might be concerned about just wearing all blue. You might not feel like that is the proper route for you to go, but you can definitely get a lot of looks out of it. Like this is a wonderful blue electric shade. The shade that's called Tide Pool is beautiful as well. Very electric. I did this with a look. Browns in the crease, warm tones in the crease, put Tide Pool, you're good to go. This shade Billie Jean is so pretty. You can put a cooler tone situation like a cooler tone bone and then put this on the lid or some gray and you're good to go. So, and then you have the shade called Lumi right here, and it just changes the effect of any shadow that you put by it because it's definitely a beautiful duochrome. Let me see, I'm going to try to swatch it without my fingers. So you could do it here by yourself, which is beautiful, or you can kind of transform another shade. So I'm going to stick it over Tide Pool, and it just gives it another dimension. So I think that this palette is beautiful. The colors are beautiful. This is a true blue palette. So I think this is a great palette, great addition. I'm glad they listened to their fans and brought us a blue palette, okay? The next palette I'm talking about, Just My Luck. Okay, so Just My Luck is cute and it's green, but it's green with a little twist because this is more olivey in tone. It's not like Kelly green, so I appreciate it. It gives you a lot of options and it gives people are not always going to want to wear Kelly green, and I think it's a fun play on St. Patrick's Day. Now you have different interesting colors. Now this color, Olive You, oh my gosh, this color is beautiful, and you can definitely wear it with this shade Charmed and maybe another brown that you want to pull into your crease, and you have a great look. So this is why I really like these palettes, because I feel like for accent palettes they're great. When you buy single shadows, they're, at least at Colourpop, the single shadows, like I've said this before, they're $4. You buy 3, you're at $12. You can get these for $12. So that's why I feel like they just make so much sense in my collection. The formula is on par. The only thing with a couple of these shades is just, I think that I love Chances Are, I love Kiss My Hash, but Big Banks and Kiss My Hash, I think I would have just enjoyed one more green that was not so much middle tone as these three, because these two greens right here are definitely the star of the show. Maybe if we just had one that was like a true Kelly green, that was a shimmer, but the shade Mary Jane is beautiful as well. So you just have a nice setup. And this is definitely a bright chartreuse color. So I think with this palette, you can't go wrong either. Like I said, the only thing is I think that the shade Big Banks could definitely be switched out for another shade, because 50-50 and Big Banks is kind of pretty much the same. So this is Just My Luck palette. Okay, last of the Colourpop palettes, we have their palette from the birthday collection. This is the Main Squeeze palette, and this is a beautiful watermelon palette. Okay, I think some people were disappointed because it wasn't so red, but it's watermelon. And I think that by it being watermelon and not just straight on red, it makes it a lot easier for people to wear. Now you do in this particular palette have 3 shades that you do need to be careful with staining with on your eyes. And that is the shade Home Slice, Maraschino Cherry, and then Like It's Hot. Okay. Now Home Slice is definitely your more red shade. But this palette is beautiful. Look at that. And it does not come to play with the pigmentation. Now this shade right here is more of a satiny matte shade, but there are only 3 actual shimmers in this palette, and they go down in a row right here. So you have the shade Juicy Fruit, which I think is gorgeous. A lot of people were complaining about the gold, but I think in the pictures it just doesn't do it justice. This is a gold and melanin with a duochrome red shift, as you can see right there. Then you have Maraschino. It's like a deeper watermelon red. This one just reminds me of like candy and it's beautiful on the eyes. And then right here you have the shade Baywatch, and this shade, all three of these shimmers are just so creamy. You get maximum color payoff. You don't have to wet it if you don't need to. And they're beautiful. They're very fluffy, full of body, thick consistency of shimmers, and that's how I really like shimmers to be, because those are the shimmers you don't have to do too much to. You just put them on your eyes and you go, and you're good to go. Now, I think the color of the other mattes that they chose, because these shades are so red and you have the home slice and the like it's hot, those shades are so brightly red. I like that we have peachier red shades to kind of complete the look, and where we're not just looking like a ball of red. Because even though I have like a lot of red on my eyes now at the moment, I'm like, why am I having creasing right here? I didn't do something right on my eye. I'm like, that doesn't normally happen. That's my fault, whatever that is. But like you have Frosé, which is definitely more a peachy nude. You have not peachy nude, but a more of a peachy color in nature. You have Big Gulp, and those colors go nice as the first transition shade. And you could definitely deepen your look with a shade called Seed Money, like it's hot, and Red Bottoms just takes it there for a deep outer V corner. And this color is so pretty. It kind of just reminds me of like a black cherry. So this palette is so pretty. It's $12. Once again, Colourpop. I mean, it's a red palette. So like if you're not into these colors, then I don't think you're going to like it, just to be honest. But I love it, and I think that it does well with contrast on the skin complexion, where you can wear this palette and you're not looking like you got punched in the eye or you got pink eye. People are like, oh, your look is pretty. Oh, I see the color payoff that you were going for. So with that being said, I've really been liking this palette. This palette, the Main Squeeze palette, and I have been wearing this nonstop. Along with, I have been wearing this palette nonstop, okay? So this is the newest addition to the Nubian line through Juvia's place. They teased us with it. This is the Nubian 3 Coral. So I think they got a lot of flack for it because people were like, it's not coral enough. So I did do a first impressions video. I did 3 looks, 1 palette with this particular palette. And like I said, I think a lot of the shades are more coral in tone, or it gives coral vibes, or the central theme of the palette is coral. Now you may notice you have 3 shades right here that are blue. Love that, because it gives you an option to put that cool tone in there. I love a good gray matte, and I think we just weren't really expecting to have these cool tone mattes with these warm tones. I mean, we have been having coral palettes up the wazoo. So we got, you know, this is not really coral, but it's coral-ish. That was the Main Squeeze palette. But, you know, we got coral right here. Coral, peach, whatever you want to call it, okay? Then you got coral here, you know. So it's a different take on coral. This one is more brown in tone, but you have to think about a Nubian for the Juvia's Place collection is a more brown series of family of palettes, okay? And this shade right here, now these shades do not have any names. This for me, you know, once again, is one of those shades. I could put it all over my lid, be happy as a clam. It is beautiful. These shades last all day. You don't have any problem bigging up the pigmentation. You got a nice chocolate brown in here. You have these shades right here. They're actually more coral in nature. They come off looking very brown, but they're not. They definitely have some peach. So I have no idea where my camera stopped. So I just think that these are very coral in nature, and you have these browns, you have your duochromes, you have lighter shades that are definitely very much peach. This particular duochrome goes well with the silver duochromes. You just have a lot of nice options in this. And this is a very wearable palette. I think for a lot of people who might not think like, this is a wearable palette, you know, even though this is watermelon, you still got those red tones kind of coming through, like, because your boldest tone is probably this, other than the 2 silvers right there. And then you have this nice, smooth, rich chocolate brown, and then you have your these particular shades are sheerer. So these two these two have the same consistency, but they are not the same consistency as this. And this one has the same consistency. They're definitely thinner, but they're more transformative shades, so they look well when you layer them well with other shades. They can kind of change the the overall appearance of your eye look. So I think like this palette's like a very wearable for a lot of people, where some of the other palettes I mentioned before in this collection have not been. Okay. One last palette, guys, and this is the Ace Beaute Oceanic palette. So this palette I was not actually going to purchase because I was like, oh, I just probably won't even really wear it. And I was thinking to myself, well, I have the Just My Luck palette and I have, you know, the Blue Moon palette. But honestly, this palette is so different than the Just My Luck and the Blue Moon. And that's not to take anything away from that, but it's just the color scheme of this. This is definitely a blue-green, murky, Ariel underneath the sea palette. I don't know how to describe it. Like Little Mermaid under the sea, Atlantis vibes, looking at sea turtles, snorkeling in the coral reefs or the Great Barrier Reefs in Belize. I haven't been to the one in Australia, but I've been to the one in Belize. And this palette is gorgeous. If you love blues, if you love greens, this palette is for you. This palette is so pigmented. I mean, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, honestly, I think right now from Ace Beaute, I have this one, the Flare, and I have two of the palettes in the Vault collection. This one is my favorite. They just need to stick with this formula. It is so vibrant. Check out my video. I did 3 looks using this palette. This palette, now, be careful. Like, if you don't think you're going to wear these shades a lot, this palette might not be for you. You might need to go with the Just My Luck or, you know, the Blue Moon. Because this palette is blue-green. It's $38. And it's a lot of bold blue-green shades, okay? So the only true blue shades that you really have is Bay. And then you have Blue Calm. This one is a very baby blue shade that is called Lagoon. You have Bora Bora and Bali. These are actually more described as like a cornflower blue. You have Jellyfish. Let me tell you something. Mykonos. This is Mykonos right here. Then you have Fiji. This is Fiji, the matte version of Mykonos, basically. Not quite, but almost. Then this is Algae, that bright blue, bright green, because I know y'all probably kill me if I don't swatch that. And baby, but it's beautiful. I need to swatch it, okay? Let me, oh gosh. Okay, every time I film a video for y'all, like a makeup wipe must be on deck. Like, let me wipe this off real quick so I can show y'all. Let me dry this off. See that? This right here is Fiji. This is a matte shade. Do you see that? This is Algae. Oh, I wiped some of the algae off on my... Okay, I'm going to go back into the palette because I was like looking down at the rag. I was like, because it's missing. It's on the rag. This is Fiji. Do you see the pigmentation? Do you see how easy this was? And it applies just like this on the eyes. Now, the shimmers, they're more tightly packed. They are very thick in nature. They have a lot of creaminess to them, but they're a little more tightly packed. So you're going to have to be a little patient for it. But the color payoff is magnificent. I usually take my little small little taper brush that I like to use for my shimmers by Tarte, and I just patted it all over the eye. I did not have to wet these shimmers at all. This palette is gorgeous, okay? Gorgeous. Blue-green palette. Like, all the shades have a shift. I'm going to swatch a few more for you. I mean, this palette was like, it just really surprised me because I was just like, okay, I know they've improved their formula with the Flare palette, but this formula, they have knocked it out the park. It is so hard to make blue-green shades, especially the mattes. So you're going to have to come in with your brow bone shade, like I said before, because you don't have really any true transition shade in this palette. I'm going ahead and swatch this real quick. This is Jellyfish, another beautiful shimmer shade. Animal. Now these two shades for me, they were a little similar. I was like, I could have done without one of them and we could have just found another funky blue-green to put in there because they're pretty much the same. And then this is the shade Bora Bora. And then let me swatch a couple of just the green mattes for you. I think the only true kind of transitionist shade that we have is Seaweed. If you're just going to do a look using this particular palette. So you can use that to kind of blend out certain things, but Turtle is beautiful. Turtle is deep, and I mean, it reminds me of a turtle shell. Seagrass is beautiful. So this is Turtle. This is Seagrass. I mean, the pigmentation is there. I mean, all I had to do was just a couple pats. Pat it on the eye, blend out the edges. I was done. So I think if you were looking at that palette but you weren't sure, I'm here to tell you that that palette is fabulous. I think it is so pretty. I'm so happy I purchased that palette. So let me know what you guys think about this video, and these are like my mini final thoughts about these palettes right here that I've tested out so many palettes on my channel as of lately, so I wanted to make sure I came back with my full thoughts on these palettes. So basically everything I have tried out has been great. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you have any of these palettes? Were you thinking about picking up any of these palettes? Just let me know. So give this video a big thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel, because you know I would love to have you here with my little makeup family. So I will talk to you guys later in another video very, very soon. That's the chair dance. See y'all later. Bye.